throat joke, but I didn't want to. It'll be inappropriate for the stream. But of course, right now, G, game number 2. And we know this is definitely going to be another cracker for sure. But at the same time, I just feel like these teams going at each other with such high intensity, because that game was really intense. And like you mentioned, it's just the ego coming into play. Be like, hey, you want that eye bush? No, I want that eye bush. And then they just start fighting for it for no reason. And that's just trying to assert dominance within the game. So I think that's a lack of discipline. But at the same time, sometimes the teams kind of need that to, set themselves up for a bigger thing. What do you think? Was that just unnecessary?
To be honest, I think quite a few of the fights were a little unnecessary, but again, I think it's the team comp that they picked last match. I kind of put them in those scenarios, right? Like they were an aggressive, heavy comp team to dive constantly. But again, I think it just came down to positioning that caused the team fight to sometimes lean into Extremely Slay's hands, but then when it was heavily against them, you could tell like the team wipes just happened. I think they got team wiped like twice, almost 3 times. So again, that's the countermeasure. That's the thing you have to deal with an extremely heavy comp. You have no escapability. And then, to be honest, like everybody on the team was so fast that Tig couldn't hardly keep up, right? Like he's a bulky boy, and he kind of tiptoes around.
Yeah, with like the Tiger being such a bulky boy, had no presence, so didn't have a lot of presence in that game as well. And like you mentioned, just tiptoeing around. And I feel like that's the problem in such a game. You want to make sure your presence is felt, and the one who made that most was definitely those frontliners. So right now, they let those heroes open once again. Birthright on the blue side, Extremely Slay on the red, and nothing out of the ordinary. The same bands coming out this time as well. Actually, literally the same bands, if I'm not wrong. And
just opposite teams.
Yeah, just swap sides. It's just literally the same bands. But that means the Gatot is still open, the Hylos is still open, the Sicilian is left open once again. What did they go for the first pick last time? I kind of forgot.
I think they went with
Hilda.
I don't know.
Hilda was open as well.
Oh, it was
Hilda's
the Hilda.
left open as well. Oh, but they prioritize Danny.
Not broken, don't fix it, right? Throw in the Sicilian back right into the mid lane is where it can be. Again, to be honest, I think a Navaria would have been a little bit better of a better mage for Slay last time. But coming into this, they do get the Hylos this time. Do they pick the Gots up as well? Do we just run it back, but out the different teams? Like, where do we go here? Oh, yeah, the Tig.
They go for the Tig instead. And I think it's big. Usually you don't see a roamer getting prioritized that early as the first few picks. It's usually the third pick or like the second phase. But I think this time around is just because Kingsta has such a small hero pool in the roam. What we've seen him perform really well is on the Tigreal. Not great, but it works in towards the mid to late game. The Grok has been really good. This Cho is kind of, I wouldn't say the best. We've seen better. The Matilda's never let through. So his hero pool is getting limited. And I think that's why they prioritize him early enough. But that's, again, 2 heavy frontliners that you see. The Hylos, the Tigreal, but the Gatot being given away. So, Mr. Death. Is that Mr. Death? No, it's not. It is on the other side. Levi on the Alpha. I was going to say, if they give Mr. Death the Alpha, call it a game. It's 1-1 already.
Yeah. Again, there's the Alpha, but not on the side that you wanted to see it on. Again, to be honest, they could just run it back again with the Fanny. I think the Fanny was a great play for Extremely Slay. Could be definitely a different approach this time around, depending on how the EXP is picked by Slay. Again, they're dealing with Agata, dealing with the Sicilian. Slay, to be honest, did really good with the Tigreal. I liked it. Again, it was just picking proper team fights. And then they run it back with the Beatrix. The only thing we're seeing here now is that the EXP is different.
Yeah, the Hilda being banned out, and I think rightly so, because you don't want to be pressuring once again. The Hilda is just too much. You got to build the anti-heal quite early. The Beatrix did work out well for Wicked. And to be honest, not like they got dominated in game number 1 either. It's just the good synergy that Birthright showed. And right now, looking at the mid laners, I think they'll be looking to ban out maybe the Aurora and the Valentina, because the Vexana is not being picked up that quite often. So I feel like maybe since the Faramis has been taken out, 3 bans in the mid lane. What do you think, G? Valentina again?
I'm not a fan of Valentina, but it can be utilized correctly depending on the heroes that are in the team comp, right? To be honest, I'm always going to fall back to the Aurora or even a Vexana in this case. So it's just, especially if you're dealing with a Tigreal, like Birthright could excel with an Aurora. Just this, especially with such a heavy comp, you know, you got 3 frontliners right there, depending on how the Beatrix is ran. So it could be either or. To be honest, I also would like a Vexana on either side. They do keep banning out the Moskov. They don't want to see the Moskov. Who do you think they would pick up for their gold lane for Birthright?
I think Birthright probably got to go down the route of maybe a carry, because they need to dish out some damage in towards these tanky boys. There's still the Harriet that's left open, but that's a lot of magic damage, so they definitely need a physical damage dealer. The meta picks are kind of off the table, right? If you start looking at it, the meta has started to shrink down in the gold lane a little bit. Maybe go back to the old reliable. I really don't know. The Mia? I don't want to say Mia, but the Granger is still there. I think the Granger works in the gold lane. You can kite with it quite a lot. The damage in the late game, I was losing picks. I was starting to miss out on some gold laners, but the Granger works. And I think Granger should be the best possible pick for them, at least to make sure he can kite and do some damage from behind, because they have the frontliners anyway. But now I think they got to go for like a mid laner over here, right? Maybe the Eve would really be great for Extremely Slay.
Ooh, we don't see too many Eves coming out there, but it'd still be a possibility, right? Great slow, a lot of control. They already got the Hylos, they got the Tig that just allows for great setups, but there it is. There's the Aurora. To be honest, it is going to be tough for that Alpha and the Gata to be in the front line, especially with an Aurora. If you pair a combo of Beatrix, Tig, and Aurora all together, even throw in the Hylos ult, like whoever's there is dead.
Is this utmost slow? Usually you see these hard counters and hard CCs, but these are soft CCs, a lot of slows. And of course, it's going to get cold in the land of Dawn, because you got an Eternal Vampire in the form of a Sicilian, and then you got that Aurora that's going to get you frozen and stuck in your boots. It's winter already, and I don't know. These guys are reminding us, but I think they go for the carry instead of the Granger, and they get the Grok as well. So they have a little bit of a frontline presence once again, and the backline to dish out the damage. I think Alpha, this game has a lot cut out for him, but oh my goodness, they give away the Fanny again in the hands of Mr. Death to catch up to the back line, and he wasn't so convincing in game number 1, at least early on, but I think mid to late game, he started carrying his team, right?
100%, and I think this is what I was attributing to last game, is that, to be honest, like I just felt like a Hilda wasn't the correct pick for an EXP for Extremely Slay. Now, the team lineup they have, I feel like, is a little bit more favorable for Extremely Slay. Birthright, though, coming out with an unorthodox like comp, right? They're bringing out carries, which we don't really see too much, and now they also have another Grok, which has a really good high win rate and can kind of divert the Fanny into different ways, though could be a double-edged sword and allow Fanny to utilize that wall. So I think it's just going to come down to what we've always said: position is key.
Yeah, I think the position is key in this one. And folks, you better stay glued to your screen, because the way game number 1 went, I don't think game number 2 will disappoint. It might be even better, or it could be one-sided domination, but I know both teams don't want to let it happen, because they got the early, the mid, and the late game covered. Fourth side of Birthright and Extremely Slay will be looking to end it early to mid, and right now we are in game number 2 indeed of the upper bracket finals in this best of 5. Birthright one game in hand with a close call that came in. And of course, Extremely Slay looking to take it back for themselves. As you can see, Mr. Death in the jungle with his hands on the fanny once again, but Levi will have the alpha. And you can see instantly they're trying to get the poke down a little bit. And this might be the game that Extremely Slay will want to contest, G.
It is just battles. No, a minute into this game and they're already like face checking each other. So again, kind of looking at this outcome of this match right now, Extremely Slay, they killed it. Mr. Death actually diving into the back line into the last game and being able to secure great kills onto Danny. So we have to watch out for that again. As Danny, you know, figured out what Mr. Death brings to the field, can he avoid those combos? And again, I think Birthright, they just have to watch out, right? Like, Levi cannot be too aggressive with this alpha, but if put into correct positions, he can definitely use it to get in. This might be one of them.
Yeah, I think they're targeting Bubble a little bit, getting the poke down, try to pop the Pride of Ice just before the turtle spawns. Mr. Death making his presence felt a little slowly, yet just like game number 1, trying to get the level advantage. Levi by trying to clear that purple buff before the turtle, and here comes Mr. Death right now with the purple buff. He has the steel cables, goes on towards Mark. Pokes him down, half HP, not level 4 yet, but My Lobby in the back line with his Gato gets taken down with that AOG, catches one. He does use the Revitalize early, making sure the Glorious Pathway is popped by Hoshik to slow them down. Bubble with that Frigid Glacier, catches them. Danny with the Sanguine Claws, but the damage coming in from Levi is there with the Spear of Alpha, but the first blood and a double kill in the hands of Mr. Death, and they take down Levi again with that Sacred Hammer from Kingsta. That was beautifully played from the side of Extremely Slay, taking it slow, but getting what they needed.
Yeah, again, a couple kills on the board, a great lead in the gold here, but Mr. Death definitely going to now have to hit the jungle and get his bus for this next turtle take. To be honest, I don't think Levi make it to the turtle, so I feel like Extremely Slay should be able to eat this turtle alive and maybe have no contest. To be honest, Birthright might want to, you know, opt to go for different objectives, kind of give up the turtle on some of these takes and maybe like choose to take out Wicked. Again, I think this just comes down to the crazy combo that Extremely Slay has.
Yeah, you can see Wild Charge onto the back line, catches two while Hoshik was trying to create the separation for Danny. Brilliant play from Mark to catch them off guard. Try and save Danny. Levi with the Spear of Alpha, try and create the separation, but here comes Mr. Death with steel cables, and you can see Frigid Glacier catches them. AOG to take down Kingsta, but the Guardian's Barrier proved enough to make sure that the disruption was there, and Birthright got a kill to make sure they don't back down. But here comes Mr. Death with the steel cables on towards Mark. He doesn't have the Wild Charge. He will get taken down. A killing spree in the hands of Mr. Death as they get the Grand Theft Purple going.
The Grand Theft Purple. I've heard that a lot in M6. But look at Mr. Death.
Oh my goodness, he goes in. Hoshik is there. They've got the Glorious Pathway. Danny with the Bat's Feast trying to shout the damage, but Hoshik will get taken down indeed. Mr. Death 3-0-0, as well as Bubble and Wicked and Kingsta doing an absolutely good performance. Danny finally gets his first kill on the board.
Yeah, a little bit of an overextension, but look at this Kingsta setting up a really good play here to allow Wicked to be able to just farm this gold plating here. Can they match it? Mark coming in. Bubble.
You can see Urek gets the clear. Guardian's Barrier to make sure they have to back off. Mark has been doing a good job. This game has been a game of the roamers thus far, but Bubble over here, he has the Frosty Breeze, catches him, gets him frozen right now. There it is. The Speedy Light will slow them down. Mr. Death wants to go back, but once again, a brilliant Guardian's Barrier to create the separation between the front and the back line for the side of Extremely Slay, and Mr. Death is not able to go in with the steel cables right now. My Lobby is there on the bot side as well, so both the EX players, it seems like it's a 5v5. Nibiru's Passion comes out. Mark goes in, and so does My Lobby with the AOG, but Nino out of the back line. Mr. Death goes in with the steel cables. He gets the kill on towards Danny. Mark falls down, but so does Kingsta, and right now they get another. Wicked picks up the third, and the double kill in the hands of Mr. Death, and they get 4. Urek's the last one to survive, and they siege at the bot lane tier 1 turret along to the mid side before they get the hands on the turtle. So Birthright definitely in the back foot and behind the 8 ball.
I like how Extremely Slay is finally focusing on major objectives. They are constantly fighting in those areas that are key. to their victory. And again, this is setting the stage for them to turn this around to a 1-1 game. The team fights are definitely leaning into their favor. And again, I just think this is because the Alpha can't do much here. If the Alpha goes in, Levi is going to have a big problem, and he's just going to get CC'd to death.
And you can see that right now coming in. Glorious Pathway is there. Frigid Glacier and AOG catches too. But at the same time, my lobby's taunt is not enough. Hoshik creating the separation. Urek doesn't have the damage just yet. And Levi will fall down. And that is brilliant play from Extremely Slay once again.
It's just fights after fights. Anytime Extremely Slay sees Birthright, they're just lining them down, not allowing this to go to a late game as they are taking tower by tower. But again, hopefully they don't get too tunnel focused and then make a mistake, because that is what Birthright's looking for here, right? As soon as the Urek can come online, as soon as Danny can come online, these team fights definitely could teeter into the other direction. Now, that is what Birthright has to do. They're going to kind of probably be utilizing these tier 3 inhibitors. They still have these tier 2s, but again, I feel like they're going to have to hold out.
Yeah, trying to hold out. Mark trying to provide some vision, but they go straight on towards Danny. Glorious Pathway is there. Guardian's there to help him survive, but he gets taken down. AOG catches two after the Frigid Glacier was used up. Mark does have the wild charge, doesn't want to use it just yet. Urek trying to poke him out, but that's Hoshik. He is quite tanky, and he doesn't need it, but Mr. Death is there trying to steal away the top tier 2. Meanwhile, Levi on the bot side, and they try to siege at the mid lane. Extremely Slay Kingsta does not have the flicker, but he does have the implosion. Mark creating the separation, and seems like they're trying to siege in once again. Mr. Death will try and take up the purple buff. Kingsta creating the separation. Mark is there, not able to make his presence felt thus far. Danny and Levi trying to dish out the damage, but here comes the Glorious Path to slow them down. Mr. Death could come in. Guardian's Barrier is off, and right now you can see he's trying to use the steel cables, but no damage. Yes, Sanguine Claws catches two. Frigid Glacier freezing them in their boots. Bubble. Right of Ice is popped, and he gets taken down. Urek dished out the damage, and you can see Speedy Light Wheels still not enough. I wish we could take a look at the atomization, G, because right now Extremely Slay are trying to run away with the game with 6,000 gold lead in their favor.
They are, but again, it just goes to show you could see the... so you can already see what's going on here is that they are just Extremely Slay. They wanted to take the aggression. They just couldn't do it. So it was, man, I swear, if they just keep this up, they can definitely do it. The Lord is now up. They definitely are opting to go for the 8-minute Lord instead of taking out that last turtle. So this is what we want to see from Extremely Slay. They want the early game. They want to end this quick. And again, can Birthright hold this down? They have quite a few inhibitors. To be honest, I don't think this Lord's going to make it or break it unless they are able to wipe the team out. But if we have to, I mean, look at the past, we already seen that Extremely Slay kind of gets a little bit too aggressive when it comes into the games of pushing with this Lord. So hopefully we see a little bit of a different setup this time around. While the Lord is barreling down, the lanes are properly synced. This is looking good here.
It is looking good.
Caster is here.
They're slowing them down with the Guardian's Barrier, of course. The Holy Defense is still there. Sanguine Claw catches still. Mr. Death could go into the back line anytime he wants. Just waiting for the minion to go in. Meanwhile, he catches Levi, but the Spear of Alpha is there. Mr. Death is able to get out of harm's way. The Lord being slowed down thanks to the Guardian's Barrier, but here comes the Glorious Pathway, but the minions are not there yet. My Lobby is there, but the catch 4 with the Sanguine Claws. AOG connects, but there's not enough damage being dished out because Wicked with the Nibiru's Passion of the Frigid Glacier from Bubble was right on time as they go in at the inhibitor right now. 5 left standing for the side of Extremely Slay. 2 down for Birthright, and here comes Mr. Death. The Grim Reaper goes in, but the Spear of Alpha connects, and he gets taken down, but he takes no one down with him. Mr. Death goes down, and double kill for the side of Urek. The base crystal was exposed, and half HP down, but oh my goodness, Extremely Slay. What a play to try and end the game, and good defense from the side of Birthright. That was very well played.
I got to give it up to Levi right there. Being able to secure and lock down Mr. Death on an aggressive push right there is kind of what kept them alive. And not only that, Danny was kind of coming online as well. So again, this is just walking right back into what Extremely Slay did last time. They secured the first Lord, all pushed mid, and weren't able to end the game. We are just repeating history at this point. They need to take out more of these tier 3 inhibitors to be able to close out the game. And we might see Birthright turn this around as they're now.
Oh, glorious path through by Hoshik right in the back line. Mr. Death comes in from the side and he gets the flank, but Levi goes with the Spear of Alpha. AOG misses completely. Danny should be the target, but Mr. Death still not able to get him. Mark goes down through the Frigid Glacier from Bubble, and what a kill. And Danny was able to kite ever so beautifully. Had the Purify pop at the right time as well. Mr. Death back into the base, so he should come in straight down the mid lane. The minions are there. Urek tries to get the clear. The top side should be the one, the target. That Wicked goes in with Bennett at the moment, and Mr. Dead looking for the flank angle, trying to clear the waves, has the purple buff as well. My lobby is low, along with Urek and Danny, trying to dish out some damage. Kingster trying to create a separation. Mr. Dead goes in with steel cables, but not enough damage being dealt. They got the inhibitor. They got what they're looking for. Now with the Lord that's up, the Luminous Lord could be coming in 30 seconds. Mr. Dead steals away the purple buff as well, and I think this is a neutral objective that both teams will be looking to contest.
It is. To be honest, I don't know if Birthright is going to be able to, as the lanes are kind of in the favor of Extremely Slay. But again, Birthright, they're going to attempt to maybe take this Lord, but this could be a situation to turn this Lord fight into Extremely Slay's ability to take out one or two before the Lord. Again, anytime I've ever talked to my team, normally, if you're in a position, a great position, as you can see, gold-wise, why not utilize the Lord to turn and then take out Birthright? This is what they could possibly do if they get into the position.
Yeah, will it be the objective? Will it be the kills? The call will be made, of course, by Extremely Slay. Sanguine Claws, Kingsta is taken low. The taunt comes out, but the Glorious Path connects, but they get the Flicker Implosion. But meanwhile, the backline, AOG catches 3, but they take down Mr. Death and Kingsta, and My Lobby goes down. The damage is coming in right now. Wicked with the Nibiru's Passion catches 1, 2. Wind of Nature, Wicked should be going down, but he does not. He gets a Maniac. He gets 4 kills, and Mark is the only one left standing, and the top lane has been cracked open. The mid lane is open as well. And right now, Extremely Slay looking to march down and try to end the game. Mark just trying to buy time. Force the flicker out, but Wicked with Nibiru goes straight at the base. Mark taken out so low. And Extremely Slay make the comeback. Oh my goodness. I was glued to my screen.
Wow. What a play from Wicked towards the end. My man just hopped into 3 people with the Nibiru's Passion to shut all of them down, and then even the Wind of Nature by Urek could not save his life. But rather it was Wicked just outplaying because of that Rose Gold Meteor shield popping off. That was absolute massacre.